Now, I'm a true believer in regards to if there's no adversity, you don't grow. If there's no challenges, no failures, no pain, you're not going to grow, you're not going to succeed. So, in today's environment, there's that very fine line as to, okay, how hard are you pushing somebody to succeed? Or how much adversity should you go through before you succeed? And sometimes it's that toxic environment that you were in that got you to where you are today, that allowed you to have that strong mindset. So where's that fine line for you? How do you navigate through that?
You know, it's so funny because when you're in it, you think it's okay. And you don't really notice that till you're not in it, that that's not normal,
You also don't
right?
notice it until people tell you, hey, get
Right.
out, get out, get out. But then you're like, you don't
But
understand.
even then, you're like, no, no, it's okay. I got it.
Mm.
Right. Like, I got it. Right. Like, because I've been doing this for decades. I'm a pro. And then you look back on it, you're like, holy crap, man, how did I last that long? Right. Like, so I think there are ways to push people that are not toxic. And I'll give you a good example. I was working with a client a couple of weeks ago, and she got on the call and she's like, I really hate you. And I'm like, and like, I don't take things personally because I know there's going to be a breakthrough when this happens. And I'm like, so tell me about that. She goes, well, I was on my walk and I'm like, I'm wasting my time with you. I'm wasting my money. I'm like, why do you think that? Tell me what's going on. Right. Well, we're not doing the work, and like, I'm doing the work and I'm not, I said, well, are you doing this, this, and this that we talked about? Well, no, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. And I didn't say anything. And she's like, shit, I got to do the work. And I'm like, and so sometimes there's more power as the mentor or the person training in saying less and bringing them to that. So we don't have to be in that toxic environment, because there are parallels there, right? Like you were just talking, but in a different way, so that people get to that place on their own through adversity. The adversity and the trick here as a mentor, and whatever you're teaching, is to get them to recognize it themselves. And so I always ask the questions, this is what you told me you wanted, are we still on track for that? And so if you don't have the client's buy-in every step of the way, there may be a misstep, and it could be seen as being toxic. Because really, when we talk about trauma or whatever, people can go into hyper where they're all like talking, and they're not in a comfort zone, or hypo where they shut down. And you want to keep them in that sweet spot, right? And so keeping them on the edges of those sweet spots is really, if you're a good mentor, where you want them to be, because it's just about pushing them in, but it's also keeping them safe, right? And so having the safety and the trust with someone they work with will allow them to, instead of get the same results as being in a toxic environment, and push them to adversity because they're doing it to themselves. You're just facilitating it. And that's really, I don't really talk about this. So I'm really glad you brought that up, because it's really a skill, as someone who trains, and especially training at a high level. If I'm moving students to compete, I will push them to the very edge, right? And I'm like, you told me you wanted to be a good fighter. Do you think you're going to be a good fighter doing it like this? And so and they're like, and I'm not chastising them. I'm getting them to think, am I a good fighter? Like, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Okay, we'll bow out. Well, what do you mean? I'm not going to bow out. I'm like, okay, so then let's step into it. What do you think would make you a good fighter? And so there's ways of using manipulation, because we see manipulation as a bad thing, when actually it's just a tool to move people into their greatness and get them to have the awareness around what will make them so awesome, right? It's got that negative connotation. Oh, you're a manipulator, you're gaslighting me. There is that side of it. But if you use that and all of the skills that you have to get people to that point where they're almost at the edge. I've had people come to me, especially after competition, or my clients, and cry and just say, I couldn't have done this if you hadn't pushed me that last little bit. Right. And sometimes it's something as a whisper to like, how badly do you want this? And there's no anger, and they have to decide within themselves, is really what it comes down to. So I never talk about this, so I'm so glad you brought that up. It's really an interesting subject.
And if you had to use stir fry as a metaphor for success, how is success like stir fry?
Success is made up of everything in your life. It's like a stir fry of vegetables. So you have to have the right people, the right offers, the right processes. It's like this whole jumble of things that come together to create your genius. And that was just a delicious meal when you make it properly.
Nicely done. So that's how success is like stir fry.